Emotions are running high at the Texas Capitol today as state lawmakers hear the results of an investigation on the flooding at Camp Mystic from last summer. 25 campers, 2 counselors, and the camp's director died when water swept through the Kerr County camp in the early morning hours of July 4th.
During a joint hearing today, lawmakers got a detailed presentation walking them through what exactly happened. Dozens of family members were in the room, some sobbing, others walking out at some points.
KVUE's Daniel Perot is live in the Capitol now. Daniel, several times the committee investigators noted the lack of emergency training for the teenage counselors and the kids who were camping there.
That's right. The investigators told a story of a camp that had just become too complacent when it comes to safety and the flooding risk. State lawmakers want to understand exactly what happened at Camp Mystic during the flooding to see if there are any failures and there are any lessons that can be learned so that they can make sure the state is better prepared and ready to respond to emergencies in the future. The committee investigators described an obedience culture at Camp Mystic, highlighted by what they said was poorly trained teenage counselors with the youngest campers, complacency at the camp about the flood warnings, poor communication, and also delayed evacuation efforts. Today we heard several harrowing survival accounts from one girl who said the floodwaters in her cabin rose so high that her chin touched the ceiling. A counselor told investigators that she had to push girls underwater to then get them through the door of a flooded cabin and to safety. And then there were 2 girls who were swept more than a mile down the river to a nearby home where they were rescued. They've recorded this message for committee investigators as they talked about their terrifying experience.
We all fell out of the window and the water started rushing and it ran this way. And I went out underwater and almost drowned and I thought I was gonna die, but then I came
Because then I couldn't breathe, I just kept going up in the water, but I wasn't breathing because I literally couldn't.
My legs are so sore.
To get Edward, the little girls, the counselors.
There was no detailed evacuation plan for the camp. In an emergency, those in the low-lying areas of the camp were told to stay in their cabins unless told otherwise. State investigators approved that plan just 2 days before the flood happened. Eventually, some counselors took matters into their own hands and pushed girls through cabin windows to scramble up a hill to safety.
This was heroic, no question about it. I mean, and they needed to get to higher ground, but it wasn't a plan. It wasn't a safe plan. It was an option that was taken that, thank God, nobody died. But it was very ad hoc. And it flows in this direction and flows.
Camp Mystic wants to reopen its Cypress Lake campus this summer. That part of the camp did not flood last summer. The victims' families and state leaders, such as Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, have called on state regulators not to approve a license for Camp Mystic to be able to reopen this summer. In day 2 of the hearing tomorrow, we expect to hear from Camp Mystic leaders as well as families who lost daughters at Camp Mystic and state agencies. All this testimony is stuff that state lawmakers are going to consider as they start to form their legislative proposals for the 2027 legislative session. At the Texas Capitol, Daniel Perot, KVUE News.